We all pot down here. We all pot down here. We all pot down here.
A fucking cow that can fucking talk.
Welcome to We All Pod Down Here. I'm Dan.
And I'm Brittany. And this week we watched Shrooms from 2007. And I guess I should say I forced Dan to watch Shrooms from 2007.
So this is what, the second time you've watched this?
Yes, I watched this probably in 2011-ish. All by myself, and I was like, well, this was terrible.
And you wanted to submit yourself to this again. Why?
I have an actual valid reason for why. So, to clarify, before we get started, as we usually say, there will be spoilers. So, if you don't want this monstrosity spoiled, please go pause this and watch it. It's on Tubi. I think it's on Pluto TV. I'm sure it's elsewhere. It's not hard to find, is the point. And it's free to see.
Yeah.
So,
if you paid for this, you're a sucker.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I watched it on something like Netflix, or it was something streaming. Because I remember I was like, oh, look, a horror movie streaming. I'm home alone. This seems like something I'll want to watch.
Sure.
That's my per usual. Just like when you went up to Virginia that time without me, and I was scared alone, so I watched Jaws.
Oh, yeah.
And you're like, why would you watch Jaws if you were scared? I'm like, there's not going to be a shark in my room, and it was comforting. Horror is comforting to me.
Hey, it can be.
Yep. Anyway, the logical reason of why I wanted to watch this was because when I was doing the editing for The Wailing, we had talked about how no one had ever died from shrooms. You said, like, no one had ever killed someone because of shrooms, and I was like, And I was debating that very moment, do I want to spoil this movie for you or not? No, let me try to make you watch it. That way we can have some weird connection and get to riff on a stupid movie for a little while.
Well, like, that's true horror. You know, always finds a way to kill you in some way that you didn't expect.
Yep. We're not going to probably do a long episode on this. There's not much to this. So, basic premise of this movie is these friends are all flying to Ireland to visit their friend that I guess was previously in college with them. Seems like they went to like some good Catholic college. But these poor kids that I guess are these real good Catholic kids all go there because they all want to go try shrooms. So they're going 5,000 miles from their home for fucking mushrooms.
Yeah, and they're looking for like specific kind of hallucinogenic mushrooms.
Well, obviously they'd be hallucinating. They're not looking for it to make a salad.
It would have ended better.
It would have.
But their friend is a quote-unquote expert on these kinds of things, so they're in the middle of nowhere, Ireland, looking for shrooms.
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 So they go there. They basically pretty much first thing that happens is he drives up in this old beaten up car, which to be fair...
It was a van, wasn't it?
Or van, yes.
And it looked like he'd been living at it down by the river.
We got plenty of time for looking at shrooms when you're living in a van down by the river.
If only Matt Foley was there to crash to a coffee table.
That would have been the best.
It would have made this at least a little more entertaining.
But anyway, so what ends up happening again, they see this old beaten up van and they're like, ugh. And I'm thinking, now to be fair, I've been to Europe several times. You've been to Europe 10 plus times.
There's a lot of beat up cars, just like there's a lot of beat up cars everywhere.
Yeah, especially here in Florida. We kind of win the prize for that since we don't do emissions testing.
Yeah, you see some real clunkers around here.
Yeah.
Though, to be fair, I lived in Pennsylvania for over 30 years. They required inspections. There are plenty of cars on the road that I don't think haven't been inspected since the bicentennial. So.
Oy vey. Anyway, so point is, this movie ends up where these kids go to Ireland. They meet up with their friends. They get in the van. They're going out into the middle of fucking nowhere.
And bad things happen.
Shocking. When has ever anyone gone into the middle of nowhere to go camping and bad things happened? Oh, yeah.
Can we have a horror movie where a group of idiot kids go into the middle of nowhere and nothing bad happens?
Where's the horror?
Exactly. It'll throw you for a complete loop. They make you expect that something bad's going to happen, but nothing ever does.
People would be so pissed if
I know, exactly. It's like...
So you're just making a movie to troll people.
Exactly.
Because these people didn't pay the troll toll.
No, they didn't.
Because that thing, I guess it was supposed to be like a priest or something. I forget what it was. They called it like the Brothers in Black or something like that.
Yeah.
Wasn't the Beast of Black, that's for sure.
No, it wasn't the House of Black either.
No.
I didn't see Malachi Black.
No. But for Beast in Black, their new album just came out. It's excellent. Go listen to it. If you haven't heard of Beast in Black, well, you're welcome. I did you a favor.
Yeah. And Malachi Black is a wonderful wrestler.
Mm-hmm. So, as we're gonna get sidetracked this whole goddamn episode because this movie was billed as, at least according to IMDb, as a thriller, mystery, horror comedy. The comedy aspect of it is how bad it is. The only real funny part was my quote from the beginning where the dude's talking to a fucking cow.
That was hilarious. The cow was the hero of the movie. If that cow would have been this movie's protagonist, I might have not wanted to headbutt a wall afterwards.
So they go to find these mushrooms, and of course, apparently every few seasons, this mushroom that's called the Liberty Cap has, it's like mushroom that looks similar to it, that instead of having a little like white cap that they call a nipple, that has a black one, and it's supposed to be deadly, but if you live through it, they say like the Druids said things like that you could see into the future and all this bullshit. So, of course, one of them finds this before they realize that they're there. So the guy that's the quote-unquote expert, his name is Jake, I think. Yeah, Jake.
From State Farm.
Yeah. Jake from State Farm.
No khakis, though.
I know. He should have been wearing khakis. I'm going to Photoshop that. Anyway, so their friend Jake, he is with a couple of them. He finds the ones that are these deadly ones. They end up being like, oh crap, we got to go tell the others. So Mr. Expert didn't know these were in season because they only come out every couple seasons. But if you're an expert, why the fuck didn't you know that?
What kind of expert is this guy? Other than one who just wants to bang the one woman.
He doesn't even really want to bang her. He's like, because she wants to bang him. And he's just kind of like, oh, she's nice, whatever, you know. They go to try to find her. And of course, our main protagonist in this, or I guess villain?
The cow. The cow is the protagonist.
Not the cow. I'm talking about, her name's Tara. She's played by Lindsay Hahn.
And she is a giant idiot in this movie.
They all are giant idiots
oh my
in this
God.
movie.
You want to talk about a cast of kids that you just do not care what happens to them?
I cared about what happened to the cow.
Well, sure. I was hoping the cow was killing all of them.
My thing is, why was that cow in the woods? Like, they never... I mean, I know, obviously, this movie was not meant to be, like, deep and thoughtful about that kind of shit, but...
Logistically speaking, why is this thing there?
Yeah, again, it looked very clean and, like, I just, like, cows don't just fucking roam the woods.
No.
Especially, like, Holstein, so, you know, the black and white cows, the real stereotypical cows. And, oh, and I'm gonna jump all fucking around this movie, so if we jump back to earlier in the movie, when they're first coming out to this, like, middle nowhere woods, apparently there's some building out there that's haunted and shit, so it's... And then they hit this goat on the way out there, and they didn't seem to care too much about continuity in this movie because they hit the goat, there's blood all over the fucking car, they see the goat, and then they kill it to, quote-unquote, put it out its misery.
AKA the meathead just punches it a few times.
Yeah, pretty much, which somehow that kills it. Oh, he has a tire iron, that's what he does. He takes a tire iron and just, like, beats the shit out of it.
Mr. Steroid.
Yeah, that's the other thing. He says he's on steroids, you know, they're going out there to do shrooms. Like, these kids are all just, like, one giant bad decision. All these kids should have been swallowed.
They're awful. They're freaking awful.
No, not now, to be fair, I want to say, I'm not the people that play them. I want to give the actors and actresses character.
Oh, they played idiots very well.
Yeah, but it's like they were all very good actors and actresses, and...
They were fine.
Again, I don't want to make it sound like I'm, like, hating on the people.
I mean, granted, the acting wasn't that great.
It wasn't bad, though. Like, it wasn't
terrible.
I mean, again, I'm not expecting anything amazing out of this. This is not meant to be like the fucking Lighthouse.
I mean, you get handed tripe as a script, you can only do so much with it.
Exactly. So, the one girl, the one that played Lisa, I think, the actress gave up acting, I think, shortly after this. Like, I think she was in, like, just a handful of other things.
This was the last straw.
Oh, no, it wasn't her, I don't think. Who was it?
Was it Royd guy?
No, it was one of the girls. It was her, yeah, the girl that played Lisa. Hang on.
The fact that somebody quit acting right after this.
Okay, no, it wasn't right after this. Okay, so the girl who played Lisa, she quit acting in 2014. This was 2007.
Okay.
She's now like a successful real estate agent in Los Angeles, which I was like, cool, but I was like, this movie, I feel like even though she was in a couple things after this, I feel like this movie, like, you know what, this just ain't for me.
It's the beginning of the end. You know, the most creative part of this movie was the friggin' poster.
I know, the poster's actually really good. I like the way
it shows the poster, if you haven't seen it, is the moon, and it shows a couple mushrooms that make it look like the moon is like a skull. So it's like a really creative poster, and it's like, oh, maybe this could be cool.
But now, just to be fair, though, when we're talking about the actors and actresses in this, the lonely twin, which you barely see in this whole fucking movie, but it's our lovely Jack Gleason, which, of course, is Joffrey, so I guess this explains a lot.
Maybe he was on shrooms the whole time. Maybe.
Well, he was the one that they were saying got beat and shit, and his brother got hung in front of him, and now he's the lonely twin and all this bullshit, so I think you see him a little more in some other versions. The version we watched, you barely saw him. He, like, popped up in, like, 2 or 3 scenes, but I was like, when I saw this before, I could have sworn he was in more of it, so... It's probably we watched some version that just cut that part out.
You combine that and all the Lannister incest, you can see why he ended up all messed up.
Well, when we talk about incest, though, when they hit the goat, we then meet our two hillbillies that are just like hanging out in the woods and barely talking. They look like they're covered in like sores and stuff.
Yeah, Cletus and Joe Bob.
But again, if I saw that, I'm like, all right, you know what? There's other woods in this country.
Sure.
Ireland ain't devoid of woods. I'd be goodbye.
Yeah, I see two weirdos out there like, oh, that's good eating.
You gotta
Even
do
though
like
we're not doing like a southern.
Yeah, do like an Irish accent that's mixed with southern. I'm not even sure how to do it.
I can possibly. These are inhabitants of Craggy Island, the part that nobody goes to. If you don't know what Craggy Island is, watch Father Ted.
But yeah, they.
I was expecting Tom to show up with his I Shot JR shirt
I shot
and the
JR.
rifle.
Oh Lord.
Cow!
Bird.
Cow!
Small, far away. Small, far away.
Can you believe my own mom did this to me? Doesn't it look like a face?
Oy. No one. There's gonna be like 3 people that get those jokes.
They should have hired the guy who played Tom.
No,
and
he
he
would've
just
been
shows
really
up. That would have been the most wonderful thing with the unibrow and the I Shot JR shirt. Would have made this movie.
Yeah, that would have been pretty phenomenal. But anyway, so again, getting back to the fucking story of this, so
There's a story?
The story
When
is
was
that
there a story?
the idiots do shrooms. That's the story. But so they go out, they pitch their kit tents. Not just with the the physical. I know. I tried to weave in a bad joke there. It didn't really work, but you get the idea.
No, it worked.
I don't know if it worked. I didn't see one of those kids get laid.
You know, that's actually a really good observation. Usually movies like this, something like that happens.
They tried, though.
They tried,
but
they
failed.
They all failed.
So
I'll give it that.
yeah, so they go and they keep thinking they see something. They end up, of course, most of them end up doing mushrooms before they were supposed to. The one guy drinks like a goddamn like pot filled with it.
Yeah, in the middle of the night and wanders off.
And that's when we meet our lovely cow. So the cow seems to be talking to him. Oh, I should back up and say again, this is gonna be all over the fucking place.
So the big point is like when Tara, who is our protagonist, this cannot be our protagonist.
Well, she's kind of also the villain in all reality.
Yeah, that's true. But she eats one of the mushrooms that the guy said that don't eat this one. It'll basically turn your guts into goo, or if you survive it, you're supposed to see things into the future. All this weird shit.
Yeah, there's all these like
of
druid
course,
legends or whatever.
You see all these random mushrooms. What's the first thing you do? You fucking eat it?
I think she was like...
She's an idiot.
I know, but my thing is, like, I realized that he showed them what they were supposed to look like. I'd be paranoid as fuck, because everyone should know by now there's deadly mushrooms out there. Mm-hmm. This is 2007, or it was filmed in 2006, so I would be like, is it okay to eat this one? Is this one the right one, Mr. Expert? And then he'd be like, no, it's not, and we could have avoided the whole problem. But again, then there'd be no movie, so... She eats it, she basically has a seizure, he goes and saves her, and then she's like, I could see the future, I saw him trying to kiss me, and real reality is giving her CPR. They go back, they go to sleep, weird stuff happens, then the cow situation happens, then she thinks she sees their friend Troy, is it Troy? No, it's Bluto.
Bluto Blutowski.
Yeah.
So he got a grade point average of 0.0, and I think that, this Bluto, just as the Bluto in Animal House, also did. But this guy did not become a state senator.
Nope.
Thank God. So honestly, this guy would probably make a really good, corrupt, awful state senator. That's about the brain power of one.
Yeah. But yeah, so he ends up going through the woods. She sees him getting killed. They all go try to look for him the next day. Of course, we find they're all looking for him, worried about him, but then also drinking this mushroom tea because that's a good idea.
Of course.
Of course, they find him
missing.
dead.
Yeah, someone's missing. Let's keep taking all the hallucinogens. That's a great freaking idea.
Yeah.
And this guy, the worst kind of person. Just absolutely.
We talking about Bluto?
Yes, Bluto is awful, and he's not
trying to cheat on his girlfriend.
Yeah, with like every woman there.
He insulted the cow too. I mean,
he did insult the cow. What a dick!
I know.
And this
the cow was the hero of this movie.
Of course, like that scene was the only redeeming part of this movie, I think. But like this guy was just all sorts of awful. Like I said earlier, this is a group of people that you don't care if they get massacred. In fact, whoever's massacring them is probably doing society a favor, and the collective IQ will go up a point or two. So whoever is killing them, cow, random people from an asylum that's no longer there, whatever.
Other dimensions.
I'm rooting for that entity. Whoever it is. They're doing a
What if it was Donald Trump?
Oh. Well, as long as he offs himself at the end, I guess.
As long as he just like throws himself off a cliff. Anyway, I'm not cutting that part. So we have them running around the woods. They're scared. They find Bluto's dead body. Oh, the best part, he seems like he wants to be some like cool gangster guy where he has those rings that attach through multiple fingers. And of course they say death on it. And so then when they find him, they see his hand sticking out and they wipe away the leaf and it says death. And it's like, oh, look, it's not really that deep. This is kind of stupid.
No, it should have just said douche and bag.
Yeah, pretty much.
I mean, this guy, he's obviously just trying to bang Olive Oil. And where's Popeye? I don't know where Popeye is, but...
Popeye's the cow.
He's the sailor man.
No, he's the cow in disguise.
Cow. Instead of...
Yep.
There was no spinach. I mean, maybe that was the problem. They should have eaten some spinach.
Though Bluto was the one trying to be Popeye in some ways because he was using steroids.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, and the way he dies, it seems like they talk about this thing called, what was it, dogging, where it's supposed to be these people go out in the woods and they bang, and then if they flash the lights 3 times, it means they want the person to come, like, roll down the window and
like a random person come in and use the window as a glory hole or something?
Yeah, and I'm like, this cannot be real anywhere, and if it is, I'm concerned.
Well, people do stupid things. I mean, people
eat
Tide
people
Pods.
do stupid things, but like a whole group just doing this single thing, like they all acted like this was a good idea, and I'm like...
We live in a reality where people think horse paste ivermectin will cure COVID. So, such is life. Life imitating art. Or the other way around, maybe.
A million times that I've worked with horses since I was 10 years old. Ivermectin is great for treating worms and various other parasites. The problem with it is people are taking the actual horse paste. If you want to try, if I'm dying of something, I'm all for just let's try anything if it's not going to kill me. But there's actual ivermectin you can get in tablets that is made for humans.
That is safe for people, not horse paste.
And if you want to give that a go, you know what, go fucking for it. I don't care. But when you take all the horse paste off the shelves, and then the price of the horse paste goes up so that those of us that have horses have to pay more for it, which is fucking annoying. And Merrick is a giant company. The people act like, oh, I don't trust Big Pharma. Well, guess what? Merrick is Big Pharma. They make ivermectin. So if this actually was a cure for COVID, like if this was like a fucking cure-all, don't you think they'd be advertising it instead of being like, please stop doing this, people?
They would monetize the shit out of that.
How much fucking money would they make? I mean, come fucking on.
Yeah.
There's not much to this movie, so I'm just going to rant about other things, apparently. But yeah.
Like, this movie is kind of a theme of just general stupidity. So, Tara keeps having these premonitions, and she thinks she sees people's deaths happening in the future.
She's and a lot of it... them.
Yeah, and a lot of it comes true. The way they find the one girl's body in the bog or whatever.
Now, for something I will give this movie credit for, it's kind of a thing throughout the whole movie. Whenever they're tripping, a lot of times the camera will kind of... I guess I don't think it's the camera actually doing it. It's just an effect.
It just kind of goes out of focus, yeah.
Well, it goes out of focus and kind of shakes. Like, and anyone that's ever been really drunk or like maybe on mushrooms, I've never been on mushrooms, so I don't know. Anything like that where you're really, really fucking tired is all I can think of. You know how when you're really tired, it almost seems like your eyes shake? Like especially if you're driving and tired.
Oh,
you know,
sure.
It feels like your eyes shake.
Yeah. It feels like everything is kind of blurring.
Yeah, but not just blurring, it's like shaking.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what it made me think of. And so I was like, that right there with the shaking, mm-hmm. I was like, I totally feel that. So I liked that effect.
But like parts of the camera work for me, sometimes it actually was a bit...
Too much?
It really made me a little disoriented.
Well, that was kind of the point of it, though.
And that was well done by them because it made me feel zonked out a little bit. So I don't know if that was an intention, probably was, and I'd say that was good. The camera work and stuff like that, and effects were fine.
And there's also this thing that's supposed to be, I think they called it the Black Brother, and at one point, like, when everything's kind of shaking, you see him, like, as if he's moving with the tree, and all of a sudden it's just there. Mm-hmm. The effect of that was really cool. I'll give them that. That part I really like. And it's this creepy thing, you know, it's like shrouded in, you know, a black cloak, and it just keeps coming for them, and it seems to be real demon-like almost. Mm-hmm. And they had told this legend of this place that looks like an abandoned asylum of some sort. Apparently it's actually like an abandoned hospital, I guess, out in that part of Ireland. But they say it's supposed to be this abandoned boys' school, I think, and there was all this abuse there and all this bullshit. So getting sidetracked a little bit, the point of this movie is that bad things keep happening pretty consistently. Mm-hmm. At this point, I'm not going to go into too much detail here. If you want to watch this shit show, go for it.
That's pretty much what happens. Tara keeps having premonitions of things that she thinks are going to happen in the future. Then they start happening. And then one by one, the friends are going down. And then when we get towards the end, all of a sudden, she's like
being
airlifted out by a
and
helicopter.
You immediately started doing the Jurassic Park theme.
Mm-hmm. Because they're lifting her up, and I just started humming the Jurassic Park theme. Like,
but then you changed it to the Peter one, where you're like,
welcome to executive bathroom.
And this was executive shit show, is what it was. So,
oh, then it fits. So at this point, I've already thrown out a guess that ended up being right.
To be fair, I mean, when I first saw this, I was kind of like, oh, I didn't see that coming. That Tara ends up being she was the thing that was killing everyone.
And they start kind of showing, flashing back on how it all happened with her basically killing all her friends because she ate this mushroom and it was all fudged up. And then she's in an ambulance. He's trying to clean her up. He kind of disappears, and then she pops up with a pair of medical scissors all bloodied, and she obviously killed this guy. So she be on the loose.
Yeah, because the movie starts with you seeing someone kind of running through the fog, and at the end you see the same thing. So I guess it's supposed to be implied that she got away and is now she's running loose. She's going to be one of the people of the forest. Oh, and one of the guys that was the hillbillies, the one gets caught. And she's like, that wasn't him. And so they take him away, which I'm thinking you've probably done these woods a favor if these guys were actually loose in the woods and being this much of a problem. The other one, I think it made it look like that she killed him as well.
Yeah.
Through like the flashbacks and stuff. So I guess she killed one.
Well, the guy they arrested looked pretty freaked out looking at her. Like, he didn't want to be around her, and this guy's, like, flailing his arms around. Like, this guy does not have all his faculties. The cheese fell off his cracker.
He didn't have to begin with, to be fair.
The cheese fell off his cracker a long time ago.
Well, they even said, I think he was supposed to be one of the boys from the boys' school that was abused, so this, like, trouble boys' school. And I guess that it was supposed to all come full circle, because they went in...
So, essentially, it was a typical boys' Catholic school.
I don't know if it was supposed to, if they actually said it was Catholic, did they?
No, but...
They might have.
It kind of, I don't remember, but it kind of lines up with typical shitty religious school, abuses everybody.
You know what's really, really fucking ironic I didn't think of? So the guy that's supposed to be the lonely twin, this kid that his brother got hung, and then what he does is I think it's supposed to be him that takes all of these mushrooms, those like deadly mushrooms, and brews them into the tea, or he puts them into the soup of these evil people that are running the thing.
Yeah,
and then they go on this, like, you know, they go on this massacre and kill all these kids and all this bullshit, and then of course, you know, the two of them can't be found. But here's the irony in all that, since that's Jack Gleason, so guess come full circle. He poisoned them, then he gets poisoned.
He gets poisoned too. Yeah, it does go full circle.
There we go.
Well done. So basically, the entire point of this movie is don't eat random mushrooms that you don't know what they are.
Also, have trip sitters. I mean, I'm not going to be going out and doing mushrooms, but if you're going to be doing drugs like that, probably have a trip sitter.
Yeah, have somebody there that's not zonked out. I remember initially it was supposed to be Bluto, but because the guide gives him the keys and he's basically like, yeah, I don't want to do this shit. And yeah, then he does this shit. So basically...
And he says he's like lost without his cell phone like Bluto does, but here's the thing. I'm like, this is fucking 2007. None of them have a smartphone. They all just have flip phones. I'm like, how are you that lost back in that time without your phone? Also, this is the middle of goddamn nowhere. Do they even have signal?
Probably not.
Who the hell called the police to get her help anyway?
I think it was Cletus.
No, but the phone didn't work. The one girl.
Well,
she
we
went
don't.
in there.
Maybe the phone actually did work.
But she kills the one guy, so
yeah, maybe the phone did work. I don't know.
That or well, then you realize she had her phone on her, so I guess she just took everyone's phones and ate them. I don't know where they went.
Maybe she called.
Yeah, she was the one that
she
called.
might have. Because she's probably just so zonked out and she's doing killing all her friends, but. Maybe there's moments, kind of going back and forth between like hallucinogenic states and stuff.
Well, I will say this: the one thing I did like was the scenes where you did the flashbacks to see her, and you see her eyes, and like her pupils are dia-fucking-lated, and I'm like, I actually really like that because I feel like that would be like how that would be,
sensible.
That kind of like that out of it. So this was Shrooms. It was terrible. Funny story I'm going to tell you because I'm going to kill some time since. I feel like this is going to be such a short episode. So in the reasons of why not to do drugs without trip sitters. So to be fair, I've never really done drugs. I've never done drugs. I shouldn't say.
Nor have
really.
I. No desire to.
Yeah. So I don't care. Do whatever you want. I'll always vote for people to be able to do what they want.
Yeah,
so
that's not my thing.
Especially pot, because I feel like that's like that's the one thing I don't think people need trip sitters for, because it's just like
just please people be responsible.
Yeah, just be responsible. Just like with alcohol, I'm like,
Don't be stupid.
Don't do stupid things with drugs. Don't do stupid things with alcohol. If you want to sit around and just smoke pot all day, go for it. I do not, no skin off my back. But
doing dumb things with substances can harm other people. Be responsible with your lives in general. Don't be a dummy.
So don't drink and drive. All that good stuff.
Don't be an asshole. It's a really, really easy way to live their life.
Well, so let's go into, though, this story I have, because it's really fucking funny. The story was told to me by, it's going to sound like a friend or a friend story, but my friend is actually friends with these people, knew them personally. They were the ones that told her when it happened to her, and then she passed the story along to me. These 3 guys are like people that have done a lot of hard drugs, and they find out that they can get salvia. There's no issues with it legally.
So Lemmy and Keith Richards found the loophole.
Pretty much so. Salvia is something where it's like you will basically hallucinate for like, I think it's like 5 to 10 minutes and then you're fine. So I think that's why. Some states have it where you can't sell it in that state, but there's no laws as far as I know against doing it. Don't quote me on that. I'm not a lawyer and I'm not a drug expert. So
wait for somebody to confuse this with saliva and then start trying to acquire saliva from other people.
I think you should get cow saliva. Maybe that cow might have eaten plenty of mushrooms. I mean, maybe get something from that cow.
Maybe the cow actually thought it could talk.
Yeah. Yeah, because she was the one talking for the cow, and I'm just like, oh, come on. I don't want her talking for the cow. I want that cow actually fucking talking.
No, that cow was the star of the show.
It was. All hail cow. Anyway, what ends up happening with these guys, they get salvia, and they are like, give us the good stuff. Give us stuff that's the like most pure, finest, highest potency, whatever. They go sit in their car. All 3 of these guys, no trip sitter, just the 3 of them. They think they can do anything because they've done a lot of drugs. So the first guy takes like a huge hit, hands it to the next guy. He takes a huge hit, hands it to the next guy. Before he can even grab it, the first guy throws the car door open and just fucking bolts. And then the second guy is like, oh shit, what's going to happen to me? This dude just ran. Like, these guys are friends. They know each other. The guy that has not taken the salvia now is like, oh shit, I gotta go get him. He gets out of the car, runs after him. The second guy starts hallucinating. So he's sitting like basically in the middle. These other 2 guys have just gone. The doors are open. They're just sitting in the car. And he's looking down, and he says all of a sudden these little mini tridents showed up, like King Trident tridents. So
well, maybe it was Trident gum.
Yeah, no, it wasn't. So, and they just start stabbing him in the legs. But there's these mini tridents. He's like, this is inconvenient. Like, it was just more annoying.
It's like you go to Burgatory in Pittsburgh. There's a burger joint in Pittsburgh called Burgatory.
Yeah, those little pitchforks.
And it has the little devil pitchforks in the burgers.
That's exactly how I imagined it. But like imagine them being
things,
like gold, like looking more like King Trident from like Little Mermaid shit.
So someone spray painted a couple of those, 100 of those gold.
Yeah, pretty much. And they're just like stabbing him in the legs. And like, but he said it wasn't really hurting. It was just like, it just felt weird. You know, it was like, this is weird. I don't know what to make of this. So he's not having too bad of a time. Lucky for him.
It's just weird.
The first guy that is now being chased down, he finally tackles him and gets him to the ground. And he is just sobbing, like uncontrollably. And he finally gets it out of him that this guy is absolutely convinced the world is ending. He is convinced they're all dying, the world is ending, and it was just apparently the worst trip he had ever had. And this guy had done all sorts of acid and everything, but salvia is what really fucked him up. So last guy, the one that chased him down and finally like caught him and got him not to like run into traffic or something, got him calmed down. They finally, the trip ended. He was fine. The other guy never even tried it because he was like, nope, fuck that. No. And as far as I know, I don't think they've done many drugs since. So I don't know if that part's true, but I think that's something to the effect. I'll have to ask her and see what their story is nowadays.
So that was the breaking point. He should have just played the song, "This is the end of the world as we know it."
Yeah.
And just really drove that guy nuts. And then at the end just said, but we'll be fine.
Yeah.
I feel fine. We're good.
Yeah, that's my only really funny drug-related story I have.
Yeah. So if you want to watch a movie that's...
This is a good movie to riff on. This is a movie to watch with friends and laugh at.
It's really stupid. It's kind of tropey. It tries to do a big twist. It tries to do a twist, but it's not well executed. This movie just kind of exists. It doesn't do anything particularly well. I've seen much worse movies, but this is pretty god-awful.
Plan 9 still exists.
But at least...
So does Birdemic and Manos Hands of Fate.
This is the kind of movie, unlike those are so horrible that they're entertaining as hell. This is one of those ones that's just kind of there. It's really dumb. It's boring. It's stupid. Not a single character is likable. Like, you think there would be
I love that fucking cow. Don't you dare shit on the cow.
Well, I would never actually shit on a cow. That's weird.
No, but I'm just don't say anything negative about that cow. He was the best character in the movie.
Of course it was, but that's not really a high bar we're talking about.
No, it's not high bar.
But the cow was great. But
Jack Gleason was great. He was barely in it. You just saw him with
I didn't even see him.
You saw him with a sack over his head in one scene where he very briefly pops up and his face is all messed up.
So they have a sack over his head like a little miniature scarecrow.
Reminds me of Sam from Trick or Treat a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. But it's like...
Not as round, it's more like square.
None of the human characters are likable in any way, shape, or form. You'll have a couple of them that are, okay, I kind of pulling for this person to not die. No, not a one of them. I don't care about any of these people. Like, when they took out Bluto, good riddance.
Him especially, he was the worst.
But, like, the rest of them, I don't give a shit about these people. Like, you think it's a great idea for your vacation to just go into the middle of the woods and just eat a bunch of random mushrooms. Well done.
Yeah.
It's like in Austin Powers when Dr. Evil goes to Scott and says, and this is how you want to live your life. Yeah. And he's about to push the button to execute him.
She has to smack his hand.
And Frau has to smack his hand and stop him. I'm like,
just
push the button for all of them. You wish Dr. Evil was there to push the button for these people. But
well, she essentially was Dr. Evil. She did push the buttons.
She did. And she was just as unlikable as the rest of them. Yeah. So it's kind of like, yeah, okay. Whatever.
You know who the only human character I probably liked at all was the ambulance.
Guy in the ambulance. Yeah, he seemed like a nice guy. And
he's talking about how his wife's American, his kids were born there, and thinking about moving back there. And I'm like, why you gotta kill this dude?
Yeah. Again, moral of the story: don't eat mushrooms that you don't know what the hell they are. Don't be an idiot.
And have a trip sitter.
Yeah. Don't be stupid.
And probably don't do this in the woods.
Don't do anything these people in this movie did ever, because they are just a chain of bad decisions.
Sometimes
right up to the point of conception, all the way up through their entire lives. They are nothing but a bad decision. To be fair,
the vast majority of the characters in Tucker and Dale versus Evil make bad decisions, but at least it's fucking hilarious.
Tucker and Dale versus Evil is one of the most wonderful horror comedies of all time. We need to do an episode on it.
I'll just never get over that kid that goes to grab at him and falls into the wood chipper. And he's like, the kids are just throwing themselves into the wood chipper.
Oh God!
I was fucking. We had to pause it. I think I was crying.
Oh, we had to pause that 10 times through that movie just because we couldn't stop laughing.
Yeah,
it's so great.
But
This was not great.
No. I'm sorry I subjected you to this.
It's a waste of 82 to 83 minutes of my life that I'll never get back.
Sorry.
But the cow. The cow was great. I'm glad I witnessed the cow.
Your life's complete now that you've seen the cow?
No. But at least if there's anything memorable and funny to get through this movie, go on YouTube.
Just watch that talking cow.
Look up the talking cow. The talking cow's cool.
Yeah. I like the talking cow. But I think on that note,
Want to do our rating?
Oh yeah, I forgot we do a rating. Do we have to really rate this?
We have to rate this turd.
Yeah.
It's not even like when a dog eats tinsel at Christmas time and you get a shiny shit, like Carlin said. There's nothing shiny about this.
Yeah, I still have your Seinfeld quote.
Well, I'm waiting on that.
Oh, you have it geared up? Mm-hmm. Okay. All right, so out of 5, as we usually do. So for Skulls as an overall film, you can't give it a 0. It's 1. 1 is the lowest rating.
This is a 1. You look at the movie poster, and, like I said, the movie poster is really cool. Maybe there's more to this movie than meets the eye. No, there's less.
There you go.
Just like Newman, there's less. This movie's terrible. It has about 90 seconds of redeemability in the cow. That's it. It's not a good script. It's not well executed. It jumps all over the place. Overall, as a movie, it's junk. It's not. I don't like to be like that. I want to be constructive, but this movie was pretty just not good.
Well, sorry I made you watch it, but...
But the cow.
I know, we're just going to keep harping on that damn cow.
Hey, the cow was cool.
I'm going to have to cut out half of the cow references, because I feel like half this episode's going to be well, we like the cow, we like the cow.
If they would have made probably 20 minutes of this movie ridiculous crap like that, at least it would have been funnier.
Yeah.
And it would have had some maybe rewatchability or redeemability because it was just silly. It tried to take itself really seriously and didn't do a good job.
We needed more scenes like the cow that were kind of amusing.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so for scary factor, oh wait, I forgot to do my rating. My rating's a 1 too. Not a 1 or 2, like it is a 1 as well.
Maybe if they would have
English
put
is
it,
stupid.
they should have put a chicken in there. We had cow and chicken.
Oh, there you go.
That's a great show. And maybe you can get the devil with the big bare ass. It would have been fantastic. That would have been funny.
Sorry, I was yawning because this movie bored the shit out of me. Scary factor, I'm going to give it a 2. Only because I'm going to go to 2 for the effects, like disorientation and stuff like that. At least give it a little credit, but yeah, that's all I have to say.
I'll do the same. I mean, like honestly, the effects weren't bad. I don't have... It's just there wasn't many of them, but the effects were not bad. That's not a weak point of the story. The movie, the weak point was the story. It's just not coherent at all, and just didn't work for me, at least.
Yeah. What are you going to do for music and sound?
Not a whole lot of music in this, really. Even the sound was like the kind of birds were just wrong for the geographical location.
Yeah, that was, the little tidbit we looked up, that apparently the bird sounds, apparently one of them's really an obvious bird that does not even occur in Europe. So I was like, well, there you go.
Yeah. I think I'll give that probably a 2.
What's fucking annoying is I found that on IMDb, and I tried to submit a thing to IMDb to explain to them that in Jungle Cruise they have the wrong species of snake, because they have coral snakes in that part of the world, but not that type of coral snake. Mm-hmm. Like that coral snake's only found around like North America. And so I'm watching this and I'm just like, that's not the right type of coral snake. And so I submitted to them in credentials. I'm like, I'm a reptile expert to some extent. I know what I'm talking about. I can show you comparison photos that show you this is not the right one. They're like, oh, we could verify this. I'm like, go fuck yourself then. Anyway, so for sound and music, what did you say you did?
I did a 2. It's nothing spectacular. It's not terrible. I don't think it's good enough to give it a 3, honestly, because there really wasn't much music. The sound was nothing spectacular.
I'm going to go the same. I think we're going to be pretty aligned on this one. Yeah. So for effects, I'm going to give it a 3 because, again, I really liked the shaky effects. Now, granted, it's not something that seems like uber hard to do, and there's scenes where you see like something watching them, but it seems like this was all like the things where it looks like kind of like almost outside of her body, like Tara's body watching her, almost to an extent don't make sense, because how could she be watching herself? But I guess that's all part of the crazy trip she was on.
So hallucinogenics, yeah, I can see that.
But at the same time, it's nothing that I feel like stood out that was amazing, but still I enjoyed the effects, so I'll give it a 3 for that.
Yeah, the effects were good. I thought they were well executed. They weren't overdone. I have no problem with the effects. I'll go with the 3. The only thing, they needed to have just Frank Reynolds show up and going, I'm going to trip balls. We needed that moment. And that would have been a great...
Towards the end of this, I was like, there's going to be something you like, because I thought the part with Jack Gleason was coming up, and then it didn't.
It wasn't there.
Yeah, and well, then, because you're sitting there, you're like, is Frank Reynolds going to show up? I'm like, no. And you're like...
Well, I was just throwing out stupid stuff.
I know, and what was the other ones? You started naming off, like, half the characters in Father Ted, being like, are they going to show up? And I'm like, to be fair, this isn't Ireland, so at least that makes more sense than Frank Reynolds showing up.
Well, Frank Reynolds could just show up out of anywhere. I mean, he pops out of a couch. I mean, he could really show up wherever.
Well, the couch he popped out of was leather, so... Mm-hmm. There you go.
Well, I mean, like, it would have been great if Tom from Father Ted showed up, like we mentioned before. That would have been great. Where's Dougal? I mean, Father Jack, that guy is a hallucination. Sometimes it seems like. Why couldn't... I mean, you could probably just... He could have
been one of the guys in the woods.
You could smell Father Jack and probably get all the hallucinations they got.
Father Jack Daniels, they should have called him.
Probably why they called him Jack.
Yeah.
Feck.
Arse.
Drink.
Girls.
Go.
Anyway,
Father Ted is a freaking joy.
Yeah.
Watch that show. If you get anything out of this podcast episode from us, watch Father Ted. You can find those on YouTube, by the way, as well. Father Ted full episodes are on YouTube. Watch them.
Yes. Yep. Don't drink and drive. Watch Father Ted. That is our message to you.
Don't be an idiot.
And also listen to Beast in Black. That's our message to you this episode.
Yeah, and be a fan of Malachi Black, because
there you go.
He's a badass. And
we're giving these people a goddamn list of things they're getting from this episode.
Sure, you see, we're educating.
Helpful.
Like Carlin, we entertain and inform.
This movie did not entertain nor inform.
It informed us that you could have a talking cow and it could be really, really funny. And then the other 80 minutes are just fluff.
Yep.
Don't do steroids either. That's a bad idea.
Yeah. Anyway, so for jumping to Gore, I'm gonna give it a 2 because while there was blood, it was very limited.
Yeah, it was kind of like in the beginning of the movie where it was just kind of like a montage-ish kind of thing here and there. You know, like there's...
Wait, the beginning?
Yeah, like didn't like the title sequence have blood oozing out and stuff like that?
Oh, yeah, but that was black and white, so it really...
Yeah, but still. I mean,
there was that. There was the part where the one kid died. Like, there's a couple of little scenes where, like, when a couple people die, that there's some blood on them, but it's not, like, gory, bloody, like, to the point that the average person could get through this very easily. I mean, well, get through it gore-wise very easily. I don't know if you can get through it very easily without a group of friends just laughing your asses off.
Yeah, I mean, you probably see more blood in a typical action movie than you do here.
Yeah.
So it's nothing that the squeamish should really avoid. You should just avoid it because it's just bad.
Unless you want the talking cow.
Exactly. Talking cow's cool.
So, I'm giving it 2. What are you giving it?
Yeah, I'll give it a 2 as well.
Yeah. I feel like 1's reserved for, like, there was somehow absolutely no gore in this whatsoever.
Yeah, it's just more... If something is totally psychological.
All right, so...
Go to YouTube, look up the cow, and wipe your hands clean.
Yep, save yourself some time.
You're welcome.
Yep, you're welcome. So with that, I guess thanks for listening to our amateur, and this episode probably pretty immature ramblings. So until next time, this has been We All Pod Down Here. I'm Brittany.
And I'm Dan, and I never claimed to be mature.
I didn't say you did. Bye!
Thank you for listening. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe.
Our logo was designed by Emmanuel Arroyo.
Our website is weallpoddownhere.com.
Email us at weallpoddownhere@gmail.com.
And you can follow our shenanigans at weallpod on Twitter.
And at weallpoddownhere on Instagram and Facebook.
And feel free to suggest a movie you want us to review.
Or if you just want to suggest something to make me really uncomfortable.
Be afraid. Be very afraid.